форум. Так, будь ласка.
Thank you so much. My name is Yaroslav Popov, Ukraine Foreign News Agency, Ukraine. Next summer, the United States will host an anniversary NATO summit in Washington, D.C., which raises a lot of hope, especially for Ukraine. President Zelenskyy, what does the Ukrainian side expect from this summit? And do you hope to hear direct invitation for Ukraine to join the alliance? And President Biden, under what conditions is the United States ready to support the initiative of inviting Ukraine to be member of NATO? Thank you.
Thank you for your question. I will answer very quickly on this very complicated question. We are not allies till now. We are allies, but we are not members of NATO. So that's why I think I will pass this question to our big friend, President Biden.
Look, I'm very proud that how strong and unified NATO has become. And now it's even larger. Putin wanted the Finlandization of NATO when I met with him in Geneva right after I was elected. And he's gotten the NATOization of Finland instead. And NATO will be in Ukraine's future, no question about that. But as we said in Vilnius, Ukraine will become a member of NATO when all allies agree and conditions are met. Right now, we have to make sure they win the war. And, we launched a joint declaration of support alongside President Zelenskyy and the G7 leaders in Vilnius, outlining a long-term commitment to supporting Ukraine's defense needs. We also hosted a defense industry conference last week here in D.C. to get that critical work done. So it's a step at a time. Thank you all very, very much.
Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everyone. This concludes the press conference.
There you have it, President Biden,
Thanks,
President Zelenskyy in the treaty room, old executive office building. What a difference from a year ago when President Zelenskyy received a hero's welcome here in the United States, was asked to address a joint session of Congress instead today. Though welcomed in Washington, it was much different behind closed doors and meetings with congressional leaders from both parties in the Oval Office with President Biden, Ukraine pleading for continued help. President Biden announcing some help is on the way, but saying supplemental funding is necessary. The time is running out in this fight against Russia. He said that it is shocking that it's gotten to this point, that Ukraine is now pleading for more help from the U.S. President Biden saying Vladimir Putin is banking on the U.S., not helping Ukraine. We must prove him wrong. He talked about a show in Russia backed by the Kremlin, President Biden said in recent days, well done Republicans in reporting out the fact that funding is being held up based on pressure being put on the White House to do more on the border with Mexico. The president addressing that, saying holding Ukraine funding hostage for Republican demands on the border is not how it works, in so many words, is what President Biden said here late today. President Zelenskyy appearing before Americans and the world in this press conference saying we are fighting for our freedom and yours. Let's bring in our chief White House correspondent, Mary Bruce. Mary, you were watching this today. The president saying of Republicans, this is not how it works, but essentially what they're doing so far, and he said this was a small number of Republicans, is working because it does not appear this additional funding is on its way, certainly not before the end of this year.
Certainly not, David, and that is certainly what stands out most here today, is the president is trying to make it very clear that Republicans will be to blame here, saying, as you noted, that you can't hold this kind of funding hostage, and that is exactly what the White House is accusing Republicans of doing here. I think despite the stakes here, as the president laid out, noting that this is exactly what Putin would like, Zelenskyy here at the White House and on the Hill today arguing that essentially this is life or death for his country. That is the message that he took directly to lawmakers, but so far Republicans simply are not going to back off their demands, which is that in order to pass any additional funding for Ukraine, they want to see significant changes to immigration reform. And the president so far, isn't, even though he says he's willing to compromise, it hasn't been clear where. And that is why right now we simply do not see a way forward. It is not clear what exactly would satisfy Republicans' demands. It's not clear what exactly the president is willing to give up here. And that clock is ticking. We know lawmakers are looking to head home at the end of the week for the holiday recess. Right now, it does not seem possible that they can get this done before then, David.
Not seem possible that additional funding would be on the way to Ukraine in its fight against Russia. Mary Bruce in the treaty room for us. Mary, thank you. Mary and the entire team will be back with me for World News Tonight a short time from now. For many of you who return to your local news now, our continuing coverage, ABC News Live and abcnews.com. And I'll see you for World News Tonight just a short time from now. Good day.
This has been a special report from ABC News.